Hi to everyone. It's great to be talking to you, even though I'm not live today, obviously. We're finally coming out of COVID restriction in England, and although we're still seeing high infection rates, very few people are becoming seriously ill. This has certainly been our experience with the very many staff who've had it recently, so obviously that's a very good thing. Nevertheless, with Easter coming up, I decided to take the safest approach so that we reduce the scope for staff to catch it and don't mess up Easter for everyone, because even though you may not be seriously ill, having seen from first-hand experience with friends and family, it will mean that people are ill or are not able to do things for at least a week or so. So this talk is obviously online today. I am looking at the best way of giving these talks in future and looking at what will work the best, because I do know that sometimes people move around or whatever is difficult. But I do intend to do my end of year one in July face-to-face, because I think we do need to have that sort of interaction and that level of normality at the end of the year. So I'll start with a very personal thank you. It has been a really tough and challenging year again. And I know I'll probably say that most years. And I think it's right and correct that every year we've had recently has been harder than the previous one. And I do know that in talking to very many of you, all the challenges you've each had, at least as of last week, we're returning to some form of normality. And hopefully the days of talking about COVID are now almost over, because that has been the bane of my life. Today, as always, is an update so that you know where we are as a college, and I will cover the main topical areas so that people have got a pretty clear idea of where we are, and also that you're not missing anything. Firstly, as always, I will begin with students. Students are always the main focus for the college. Our students, our learners, they are the reason the college is here, and to be honest, why I'm here. We have had a few incidents this year. We're a college, it isn't any surprise to anyone if that's the case. But the reality, not the perception, that is somewhat different to what the reality is sometimes, is that we have not had very serious issues. It is clear that the overall behaviour of students has been reasonably good and still better than pre-COVID, even though for some of you that might not seem the case on occasions. I know, talking to some of you, that you've had concerns, but I do have the benefit of a complete overview, and I know that we're doing very well as a college and compared to some other colleges locally. One issue we certainly have had this year has been the number of students who've come to college with assessed grades where these do not reflect the real achievements or level that the student is at. That's been a real concern. It has presented some particular issues for us, and it is important we have this fully recorded, as it will be relevant to Ofsted. I do know that, and we're clear, where this is the case, that some students have been well below or have got assessed GCSE grades, which they really should not have had. That then brings me on to staff. Obviously, staff, you are the key to our student success. And I've always had a very simple view, which is that happy, valued staff who enjoy their job and get rewarded for it do a good job. I speak to staff every day, and I do know how difficult it's been over recent years. I also know that despite what one or two people think, the majority of staff really like working for the college, and that's why they're here. I'm not oblivious to the fact that there have been real issues for people, and that there are serious concerns over the rising inflation, the challenges we have on pay increases, and the lack of government funding. This is one of my biggest concerns. I've always worked to pay staff the highest salary possible, and this has been a challenge over recent years with government funding, and we've simply not been in a position to do so. We all know firsthand the difficulty in FE, as we've been through two major mergers where colleges have gone into serious difficulties, and a big part of that has been financial. And obviously, my aim always is not to have that position for us. That brings me on to staff retention and recruitment. This is now by far the biggest concern all college principals are raising at every meeting. Everyone in the sector is having a major problem currently, and it isn't just FE, of course, although within FE, the issue is exacerbated by the funding issues. Like everyone else, we've had a number of issues, both the loss of key staff and the difficulty in recruiting due to salary levels. Whilst it has been difficult, I do know from the ongoing discussions with other colleges and other principals that we appear to be doing better than many others in the region. And if you think things have been difficult, well, I do know in some areas and some colleges, it has been a real serious issue where, in some cases, they've had to shut down areas of provision, which obviously there's a double whammy there because you lose funding. From our point of view, I think the retention of staff has primarily been because of our conditions of reputation, and obviously that's something we need to keep up. That brings me on to the teaching contracts. As you know, we have now resolved the non-teaching contracts, and this is the second time we've had to go through this process because it's the second major merger. The non-teaching contract is now done and completed, but we are still finalising, I hope, the process for the teaching contracts. Teaching staff will now know what is on offer, because what I propose, I sent out to all staff in a background explanation quite recently, so you will be clear about what we're discussing. We have been having ongoing negotiations with trade unions, and these will resume again after Easter break to discuss what I've now put forward in terms of proposed terms and scales. It is important to remember that the proposed contracts, and I'm talking about the proposed contract we're putting forward, will still have the lowest annual teaching hours and be the most preferential one in the region. And I know that because we've done a lot of work finding out exactly what other colleges are offering around the West Midlands region. It probably is still the case nationally, but we've only done that work around the region. Moving on to Ofsted, well, as always, this is very important to us and is now higher on our agenda again. Our aim is the same as always been, to be an outstanding college, and we have come extremely close to this in a number of inspections. I know some people might think that right now we're not completely prepared. Well, that's not really the point. I mean, we do have to work back from where an Ofsted inspection will be and also understand where we are as a college. If Ofsted came in now, the big challenge for us is the approach they take and how they deal with things, which we're not ready for. But we will be ready because fundamentally we are a very good college. As I said in my last talk, there is no guarantee as to when an Ofsted inspection will take place. I'm not expecting an inspection this academic year, but it could always be the case with no guarantees. Our next inspection should be next year, but seeing how inspections are going and what has happened locally, it could be as early as September onwards. We've already begun preparing, as Ofsted's expectations and the new Ofsted framework for inspection are really, really different. And it is essential that everyone is fully trained and prepared. If we go into inspection with a view as we had for previous inspections, we will have difficulty. The most important aspect of the new inspection is what Ofsted referred to as deep dives. In effect, they are following students through all aspects of their experience and studies, and they go through a deep dive process following exactly what students do, where they go, and what experience they have. It is, quite rightly in my opinion, all about students, and that's what we've always advocated. I know that some staff have been concerned at how these were taking place because we've already started the process with volunteers. And some of this, I think, has been about communication or poor communication. We have taken stock of this and have listened to everyone and are discussing the arrangement with staff representatives to improve what we do. The intention is to make some changes to improve things, and then, having done so, to improve communication and everyone's understanding, and then to begin a process again after Easter. Importantly, the deep dive process is not about observing teachers. We have a process and we can observe teachers, but that's not what this is about. And it is important to understand that. You have my assurances. For us, the deep dive and the arrangements will be a supportive process to help everyone prepare. And you have my personal assurances that it is not about observation. I can assure you personally, if you're concerned that we're checking on you or observing individuals, that is not the case. No one should be apprehensive. We aren't looking at teaching performance. What we are looking to do is improve what we do and improve everyone's understanding and to be supportive. I have a personal view about this, and this is why we changed the inspection preparation previously and the observation process previously. It is about having everyone on board. Our strength as a college has been because everyone has pulled together. We've all worked for the good of students, and that's what I intend. If people are apprehensive or worried or think people are checking them all the time, it doesn't work. I work on the basis that the vast majority of staff want to do a really good job, and we've got the best teachers anywhere and the best staff anywhere. So I rely on that, and obviously my job is to make sure we get the best out of you. Both BMET and Solihull colleges have recently been inspected, and they're helping us with the benefits of their experience as we did with them previously. Moving on to student safety, I've had a lot of discussions with a very large number of students and staff over this year, and quite recently actually, and it is enlightening that many students had a perception of safety issues before coming to the college and know that people on the outside have a perception, but they themselves feel safe now they're at college and try to change that perception. We do have issues, no question about it, and we really do have an issue with perceptions that do not match the reality. As with all colleges, we have issues from time to time, and the issues have arisen at various campuses over the years. Our biggest challenge currently is, without question, immediately outside the college, primarily it's our Bourneville campus, where we have an issue with young people who aren't students. We are engaging with the local police and other local organisations to resolve the issues, but importantly, we will be addressing this fully after Easter with a number of measures. This includes contracting separate specialist people working with the police to patrol and to support people on the outside so that our students feel safe on the outside coming to and from college as much as they do within college. The Students' Union and a big group of students are working with us on this, and they're also going to help us in terms of changing the perception for people outside and getting the message out there, which I think is really important. So, moving on to finance and targets. Well, I think you know from what I said previously that unfortunately we will not meet our overall recruitment targets for either 16 to 18 or adults this year. That is partly for a number of reasons, because of COVID, and partly because, for example, our Digby Centre, the roadworks we know have had an impact. But it does mean that for next year we will not see any we won't even maintain our funding. We will actually get a funding decrease. Importantly, despite all the stuff that comes out from the government, there are no funding increases. They point out the funding increase they make, some of which is capital, but what they don't say is what we've actually got to then deliver for that, which actually wipes out any sort of funding increases. For us as a college, because we won't hit our targets, we will actually receive an overall funding cut next year. Nevertheless, we are still financially secure, but the next few years will be challenging given the significant increase in fuel, power, national insurance, mortgage rates, etc., which obviously affect the college. Importantly, and I know this is important for everyone, I can assure you that our jobs are secure, which has always been a key aim for me, and can't always be the same in all colleges. Moving on to capital investment, this is where we undertake works in the college or buy equipment. We've been very successful in attracting capital funding from outside and from the government over the last few years. It's a great shame that we can't attract or can't receive ongoing revenue funding, which pays for salaries, etc. But nevertheless, we have had quite a lot of money for repairs, work, equipment, and specific new projects. And that's funding things like our new electric vehicle training centre, which will have a big impact in terms of working with companies and for students recruitment, and also for getting students into jobs. And it's helped us to develop into new areas, which I think is absolutely essential as areas decline. As I said, whilst this is excellent, I would prefer to get an increase in normal funding to increase pay, but at the moment that's not forthcoming from the government. One key area I'm sure you'll be pleased with is we're now finally able to begin replacing computer equipment, and the first phase of the new computers has been ordered and will arrive after Easter. And that's really good news, and that's part of an ongoing programme over the next few years to replace all the computer equipment within the college. The college has been really successful in terms of partnerships over the past few years, and a lot of these are now coming to fruition. We have many excellent partnership arrangements at the moment, and these are helping us recruit students and helping in job outcomes. These now include joint centres and partnerships with people like National Express, HS2 with Balfour Beatty Vinci, Worcester Bosch, and the National Health Service, amongst others. And many of those and many of the things we've been doing on the big launch of these will be in the FYI if you want to see them. They're really enhancing our reputation locally, and particularly with businesses. We have had quite a number of really successful events recently, with particularly our electric vehicle centre opening, and our Balfour Beatty Vinci HS2 opening. But my concern is that we still don't publicise enough of what we're doing. There is so much really good work going on, and so many great events, such as the fashion show this week. We need to make sure those are well and truly publicised so that prospective students and other people know what's going on. So please, if you've got those going on, the college does a great job. If you have the opportunity to walk around like I do and see some of the things, you'd be absolutely impressed. But unfortunately, a lot of these tend to be hidden, or they are restricted to the people's areas or to what the people we're working with. We need to get that out and get it out on social media a lot more. So, on to long service awards. Well, the last all staff talk I did, we had about 5 pages. I think this time we've only got one person, so congratulations go to Bernadette Malidi for 25 years. I've known Bernadette for a long, long time and hadn't realised it was 25 years. So thank you, Bernadette. Your voucher will be on its way. And obviously for everybody else, I know one or two people shy away from getting long service awards, but it really is important for you to be recognised for that long service and the work you put in. And importantly, you do get a pretty good financial voucher for it as well. Finally, I've had an increasing number of staff asking me as I walk around if we will have a summer party this year. Well, at the moment, I haven't taken a decision on that. We're looking at it given the improving situation, and we'll make a decision sometime after Easter. It would be really good to have one for those who like them, but we'll only do it when it's safe and when it's appropriate to do so. So finally, enjoy your break, even if it's only the bank holidays, as you truly earned it. We all need to relax and shut off. So I'll finish how I started, which is to say thank you. Thank you for all your hard work. Thank you for your perseverance. And I'll speak to you all in the new term. Thank you.
Every time you come around, you know I can't say no. Every time the sun goes down, I let you take control. I can feel the paradise for my world implodes. And tonight had something wonderful. My bad habits lead to late nights and then alone conversations with a stranger I barely know. Swearing this'll be the last, but it probably won't. I got nothing left to lose or use or do. My bad habits lead to white eyes staring into space, and I know I lose control of everything that I say. I was searching for a way out, now I can't escape. Nothing happens after two. It's true, it's true. My bad habits lead to you. Every pure intention ends when the good times start. Falling over everything to reach the first spark. It started under neon lights and then it all got dark. I only know how to go too far. My bad habits lead to late night and then alone conversations with a stranger I barely know. Swearing this'll be the last, but it probably won't. I got nothing left to lose or use or do. My bad habits lead to white eyes staring into space, and I know I lose control of everything that I say. I was searching for a way out, I can't escape. Nothing happens after two. It's true, it's true. My bad habits lead to you. We took the long way round, but till we met the ground.